we are moving into our final conversation for today as we find out about some of the innovative activities taking place in Coastal Awareness Week. We have with us on set Victor Show, who is the Sports Fishing Coordinator for the Coastal Zone Management Authority and Institute. We have 3 cast members of a play that will be happening at the Bliss, and we'll find out more about it. But we have Briannie Aldana with us. We have Randall, Sheppard, and we have Raheem, Phillips. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
So before we try to connect all the dots of actors and coastal awareness, let's get Victor to put it all together for us.
All right, great. So as you know, I've been here before, I believe, about 3 times in the past, talking about Coastal Zone 20th anniversary that we're promoting this year. And it's been 20 years that we've been working in Belize. So we tried to make this year packed with activities, trying to get the word out on what we do and highlighting the different coastal issues affecting Belize's coast and exactly how the public can help and the importance of our coast both to our environment and to our economic well-being for the country.
Yeah.
So we've did the Marine Litter campaign talking about that issue. We've also did some education outreach with the schools, working with the Scouts Association just last week to do the National Riverways and Coastal Cleanup. And now we're doing a play being written by Mr. Joseph Stamp Romero. And the play is to reach out now to, in a family setting, to Belizeans, inviting them out to see in a fun, comedic way how exactly our actions on the coast will impact us in the future, but getting the message in a family-friendly environment, having the kids enjoy it, have the parents enjoy it, and taking home a lesson that hopefully will influence them in the future to think twice before they do things like support mangrove removal or support unplanned development and whatnot. So it's really to highlight these issues and then try to bring it home to Belizeans to show them the importance of it.
Where did the idea of theater come from as a form of education?
That occurred in one of our staff meetings. So we usually have these meetings talking about how could we better bring our message across to the public, because that's always a challenge in any institution. It's how can you connect to the public to where they need to want to meet you. So one of our staff members, Mr. Andrews, he's the water lab technician, said, why not do a play? Why not try to reach to the kids? Because if the kids want to go see a show, obviously the parents have to accompany them. And the parents will get caught up in it. The same thing like when Disney have all their movies and whatnot. they target a family unit. So we try to bring that home and try to tackle the family unit, because the family that learns together more than likely will start to practice the same behaviors. And of course the kids will mimic the parents, and the parents in turn will be encouraged to set a better example.
You know, that's a very innovative approach, because, you know, as opposed to the usual boring, you know, these exhibits where you walk through and, you know, it's been done before. But so I have to applaud that. But how did you reach out to Mr. Stamp in particular? I think that was a beautiful marriage, you know, between the idea and the actual person to get it.
So I wasn't in the reaching out part of it. So, but what I can comment on is that I know the CEO then and Mr. Andrews, the guy that had presented the idea, then reached out to Mr. Stamp, because he was known for doing a number of other plays, and they figured that this guy probably knows what needs to be in a play. We being all technical people, right, might not be the ones to come up. We might have the idea that there should be a play, but we won't have being able to write or have anything of comedic value in it while still carrying across a message. And that, I must say, is a very difficult job, writing an entire play and trying to get across a message in a fun way.
Yeah.
I think he did a really good job in that.
How involved was the organization in the script, in the creation of the script?
Very. So I must say that we need
Joseph here to tell us the other side of it.
Yeah. So we sat down with him, and then we said, okay, we didn't work in the exact wording, because again, you leave that to professionals.
Yeah.
But the key messages that we wanted to get across, what we wanted to highlight, that was where we were very involved in. We would sit down and say, okay, these are the major issues that we would like to be tackled through this play.
Okay.
And we would want some level of seriousness to be placed on it, but at the same time not make it dark and try to take away from the friendly environment that we're trying to get across. So that was the challenge we posed to him. And I must say he lived up to it.
He delivered?
Yes, yes,
All
he
right.
did.
So let's bring it to the actors now, because edutainment is harder than people think. It's either to just go one way or the other. Because you don't want to be too preachy, and you don't want to be all fun and games. So first of all, why'd you guys get involved as cast members?
Well, for me, last year I did the play with Joseph, the one about Antonio Soberanes, For Love of Country. And I've been involved in acting from a very young age. And so he contacted me early and said, I have this play that is coming up and I would want you to be involved. And I was all game for it. I enjoy the arts, especially being on the stage. It gives you the opportunity to be somebody who I'm not really, it's not my everyday activity. So it's good to pretend to be somebody else and I could just break loose. I don't have to worry about, they're seeing Randall, because it's not Randall on the stage, it's, the character that I'm playing. So that's how I got to involved. And
so you like taking on an alternate personality. What about you, Raheem?
Well, I mean, I have done, except for the play last year, I've done all the plays that Joe has been directing and writing for the past few years, right? So I've been with him since the first play, Gangs and Boys, Sleepless Girls, Deaf Chorus. Those plays were mostly street performances, but we did have some performances in the Bliss. So when Joe was brought this idea to do a play, he approached me with an idea. And it's typically he writes a character and says, this is going to be for Raheem. Because it's always just, I don't know if he thinks low of me. That's a joke, right? But,
Why? What type of characters does he normally cast you as?
You'll find out. It's the character that's supposed to bring the jokes. I don't want to try to put too much pressure upon myself, but it's the character that's
You mean you're
supposed to,
funny?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm funny in real life, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned something that edutainment isn't something easy, but it's something I think Joseph Stamp has mastered, yes. He's done it for so long. And during production, it's like, you see, I see the genius come out, because like, if something isn't balancing, he's quick to like say, I need to put something in there. Right?
Yeah.
I need to do this.
Awesome.
So I think you won't be disappointed.
Well, honestly, this is my first play with Joseph Stamp. I have never acted like they have before, so I'm a rookie. But I met Joseph at Sacred Heart like 2 years back, and he actually contacted me to be in the play last year, but due to some scheduling problems, I wasn't able to. But then we didn't speak for an entire year, and then he contacted me like in the second week of August and told me that he wanted me to be in the play, so I just catch my bus and I came to Belize City because I live in San Ignacio, so I traveled every single weekend to come to practice. But it's been an incredible experience, and the play is very interesting, and the experience, I don't think that I've ever had this before, and meeting amazing people and working with Joe has been incredible.
Did you have aspirations to do theater? Is that how you got roped in?
No, I only got into like singing, but never theater.
There's a dimension of theater which Belizeans, I think, don't get the frequent opportunity to appreciate, because theater is a way to do social commentary. It allows us to open up, to tell us something about ourselves. Randall, what in this play was Joseph and the Coastal Zone Management able to comment about Belizean culture in this play?
Well, the setting of the play, it's a rural community. And so I think he has been able to intertwine those aspects of community participation. So a lot of the scenes in the play you will see everybody's involved. We're out having that old school type of community activity where we're brumming, we're cooking, everybody's socializing. But in that setting, we're also discussing the issues that we're facing, because the play is centered around one individual that is a character I play, named Otis. He has this big dream that he wants to develop his community. He thinks about expansion and progress, but it is at the expense of everybody else and the natural resources. And so during all the community settings, he's there trying to fight and bring out his idea, where the community is like, no, you're the only one that is going to benefit. Everything is dying, or natural resources, we're losing them, and yet you have this plan. And so you see that interaction where in a normal village, you know, at least back in the days, I would believe, you know, where everybody's out socializing and no one's at home sitting watching television. We're all out here doing something, just being a community, you know, experiencing life together.
So is that the plot of the play, the coming around of Otis from big dream to sustainable development?
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, the only way he got to that point to turn around was because there was a disaster because of his actions. So he only realized in the end that, okay, I really messed up because...
All right, no more spoilers.
Yeah.
No more spoilers. I don't want to know the trauma there. No, but it sounds interesting. And it's a very realistic scenario that we see here in this country a lot. What was it like working? I mean, obviously you're preparing for the play, you're taking on your character, but you're also soaking in some of the very same issues that the people of this organization have been working and advocating for 20 years. Tell me about that process. Like, do you have a better appreciation for environmentalists, for advocacy, for challenges that we see in the environment? Did that come with the play?
When I was at Sacred Heart, I was very involved in what was like the cleanups and everything like that. But because I'm inland, I never got like the coastal, the whole like issue, all of that was never spoken to me about. And in this play, I realized, yes, that the coast affects all of Belize, whether you're inland or at the south or anything. The whole coast protects us from different storms that we have, especially in this play, we're talking about mangroves and things like that. So then I personally, I got a whole different view of what is the coast and how we should protect it and how it protects us, actually.
Yeah.
You know, any good script, well, the ones I used to enjoy, it's more entertainment than information. How is the balance between the two, and how much of your character you're excited about, not necessarily the substance of learning about Coastal Zone, but just the entertainment value to know that, you know, we're approaching Belizeans on a level that can even compete with Facebook or HBO, you know?
How is the balance now, or how we balance it?
Both.
Because, I feel like someone mentioned something close to it, and Belizeans, not to bash anybody, but we are like used to one form of like plays.
Comedy.
And it's just comedy. It's all like slapstick.
Yeah.
It's like,
But it's so like, and so when you try to give them something more, like something that's deeper, maybe you'll be like, and I really want to see that. And like with Coastal Zone, from a personal perspective, right? And the bus Coastal Zone right now. But it's not something that before the play that I would think that I would want to watch, you know, or to hear about. Even though, and it's always just those videos that's like infomercials.
Yeah.
But like I said, Joe is already like mastered this, and it's like we need to give them the information what they're trying to bring across, but also do it in a way that they're used to. But also we don't, and Joe always says this, we don't want to we don't want to bring the level down to where people are. We want to bring them up. So we have to. It has to be a fusion, like a balance, like you mentioned, with the information that we bring across and some comedy. And that's what, and I mentioned earlier, I don't know if it was, but like, I'm always cast as the character that brings the slapstick to the people. So, but that's not the main thing. That's focused on.
Yeah. But so there is comedy.
Yes.
Oh yes.
A lot.
And is it? I'm just kidding. So you're talking, you know, that's a whole other conversation. That's talking about arts in Belize. But yes, we do tend to have, and it's a generational thing, because I find that some people really like the slapstick, and some people are craving sarcasm and wit and like
satire.
more satire. So do we see a merger of both, the old school versus new school comedy all mixed up in one?
We do, but it's hard to as well, because there's a difference between the kind of acting you do on screen and acting you do on stage.
Yeah,
And
of
so
course.
on screen, it's easier to do those subtle humor because the camera is close. I don't have to have big gestures.
Yes.
And sometimes on stage, it doesn't come across. There's a lot of things happening, and you have to do this. So it always leans more to slapstick, but we do include other kind of humor
Yeah.
You know, in terms of just the lines that you say. How you
Tell
say.
me about interesting scenes. Not everything about the scene, but just interesting scenes that you can't wait for people to see.
I
Don't
think
give away everything.
Okay, there's a scene.
there is a scene in the play based around a character named Mama B, which is one of my personal favorite characters. And the comedic value in there is incredible, and I think people will fall off their seats because it is just that funny. And the actors, the way they portray the entire scene, everything that comes into the scene, it brings the whole story together. And personally, it is my favorite scene, and I can't wait for everyone to see it.
Okay. Oh, this side. Now I'm going to look out for Mama B now.
I would have to say the start of the play. It builds an excitement, a tension, just the way it is portrayed. So I feel that is a way that you're going to capture the audience from the start. So when that
You're trying
comes
to tell
up,
people don't be late.
don't be late at all. You don't want to miss the start. So that's one of my favorite scenes. And there are other scenes where it's very dramatic. There's tension, and the way it builds up, I think those scenes are amazing. Like I look forward to those scenes. Yes.
Yeah.
Without spoiling anything,
Without spoiling anything.
there's a scene, right?
Uh-huh.
Something happens.
Uh-huh.
And it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not enough. Go ahead.
I'd have to say that I agree. I really like those two scenes. I like, and it's a contrast sort of, because like he mentioned, like Randall mentioned in the opening scene, it really gets you like, you know, and in more of these scenes, a lot of humor. So, but I really don't want to only be focused on the humor or the drama.
Yeah.
There are scenes that have the educational value to it that you shouldn't miss either.
Yeah.
Listen, there's studies that show that you listen to things more right after you laugh. You learn more. And so playing down the comedic value to me is like, and it doesn't. But what I wanted to ask was, when people leave the theater, what does Coastal Zone management want, and what probably each of you want them to take home with them after they've laughed at your character and said, man, he's a wonderful actor, should be in Hollywood, or after they've looked at your characters and said, this is awesome. What do you want them to take home?
It depends on which audience. For the kids, I want them to take home questions, right? Because the player will highlight some adult scenes where the adults are making a decision, and there's one scene where there's actually someone portraying a child asking questions, right? And then you can see that the adult doesn't want to answer because they say, well, this is an adult topic and kids should stick to kids things. So I want the children to take home questions. I want the adults to take home the mentality that whatever they tell their children is eventually what they will grow up knowing.
Yeah.
So since we're tackling coastal issues in the play, I want them to take home questions about the coast home, and I want the adults now to take home answers. What will happen if what scenario portrayed in the play really does happen? And it's the scenario is all too real. And I believe I won't spoil it, but after you see the play, you'll actually be able to relate it to some communities in Belize that went through the same issues, maybe in a longer time period, but nevertheless the same issues. And it's a real life scenario that has hit not only Belize but other countries. And it's something that could have been avoided. Something that through the play you will see the many forks in the road per se, where there was a character that had a decision to make, and depending on that decision, you see that he pretty much decided where the end of the play went. So the ending of the play won't be a surprise. You will see it coming. It's like when you're going down a road you have never traveled before, right? If you had an aerial view of seeing where the twists and turns were leading, it's something like that. So the audience will see the end coming.
Okay.
Right?
All right, so we've gotten enough about the play. Just tell us where and when and how much.
Okay, so it's at the Bliss Center, and then we have 3 tickets. We have the premium, the reserve, and the general, which are $35, $25, and $15 respectively.
Okay.
And we also have a promotion because we want to getting out to children, like I mentioned. So if your kids are going to school, it's $10 for the general. So there's a discount there. Just trying to get the children out. And you can purchase a ticket at Coastal Zone. I believe Mr. Joseph Stamp as well can be contacted to at the Bliss as well ticket booth. And we encourage all Belizeans to come out and
it's
to
2
enjoy.
nights.
Yes, we have it on October 5th.
Tomorrow and Saturday.
Yes,
Yeah.
tomorrow and Saturday, starting at 6. So please be early to
7.
7. My apologies. 7.
Tell them 6, they'll get the
Yeah.
Starting at 6.
Right. But we do encourage you guys to be on time. We don't want you to miss the opening scene because that will definitely set the pace for what you're about to be involved in.
Randall was very strategic about that. We got to be there from the beginning now, all right? But thank you so much for coming in, and best of luck. And kudos on this great venture as well, right?
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll have our wrap-up, so stay tuned.